Hello again, grade 2. It's Mr. Bedford here, and today we're going to do some more science work together. Did you have a nice weekend? I hope that you did. We're going to be looking back to some of the work that we did last Friday together in my last video, and it's all about, yes, you guessed it, plants. But before we move on, I just want to quickly say a big thank you to all of the hard work that you've been doing. I've been getting all of your homework, and it's been so great to see how much key vocabulary you've been taking from these videos to help explain some of the seed dispersal. That was fantastic. So it's really, really great to see you being so resourceful and working so hard. So well done, everybody, and thank you very, very much. Okay, as you can see, today we're going to be classifying plants. But I wonder, what do you think this word classify means? I've highlighted it there and also underlined it. Have you seen that word classify before? What do you think that it means? Well, if you think back to last Friday when we were grouping plants together, that's exactly what classify means. Last week we looked at different habitats and where they grow. Some plants grow in the same places, some plants grow in different places. Some plants have similar features and some also have different features. Well, classifying means the same as grouping. We're going to look at the key features of some different types of plants. Now, at the very beginning of these classes, in the first video, we looked at how a plant grows. We looked at the different features of plants and we looked at their jobs. We know that most plants grow roots that go into the soil. The roots take up the water and provide the plant with nutrients. We also know that they have leaves, and the leaves get their nutrients and energy from the sun. Well, some plants don't always grow in exactly the same way, and we're going to look at some of those today. We'll look at different pictures of the plants, and we'll learn all about how they grow and why they grow in that way. Look out for some more key vocabulary as well, guys, because we're going to be looking at some very, very important words today. Now, you guessed it. Before we begin, I would like to see if we can remember some of the groups that I taught you last Friday. Hopefully you were listening really, really well. I'm sure you were. So go ahead and grab yourself a pencil and a piece of paper again, and we're going to take a little quiz. Okay, so here we have the 5 different groups that I showed you last Friday. In the first picture, we have flowering plants. Then we have conifers. In the third one is algae or algae. The fourth one are ferns, and the last one is moss. Okay, get ready. We have 3 questions all about these different groups. Right, question number 1. What is a feature of flowering plants? Is it A, cones, B, flowers, or C, spores? All you need to do is write down A, B, or C on your piece of paper. Question 2. Where does algae grow? Is it A, on trees, B, woodland, or C, water? Again, go ahead and write down A, B, or C on your piece of paper for me. Question 3. Which group has cones? Is it A, conifers, B, mosses, or C, ferns? Again, write down A, B, or C on your piece of paper for me. And we'll check all of the answers to those 3 questions at the end of this video. Good luck, guys. Okay, here's our plant. Let's do some classifying of different plants together now. Okay, firstly, I'm going to show you some pictures of different plants. And I want to see if you can remember the features of these different plants and what makes them special. Also, can you tell me what group they belong to? Okay, let's take a look at the first one. Oh, that's a nice big leaf. The plant with a huge leaf that's separated into smaller parts. What's this plant group called? I wonder if you can remember. Some of the key features of this are that it has spores underneath each of its leaves, and that's where its seeds are dispersed from. Can you remember? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Of course, this is part of the fern group. Did you get that one right? Good job. Okay, here's the second one. Oh, this is a very, very small plant. It tends to grow on rocks. It likes dark areas. It likes the air to have moisture. Do you remember what this group is called? It also has spores, and those spores are dispersed into the air around it, and that's how the seeds are dispersed, and that's why it grows and grows and grows and grows. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You got it. This is moss. Did you get that one? Okay, well done. Okay, this is very, very beautiful. All the fruit around looks delicious, but I would like you to check out the top of that plant because that will give you a great hint at what this plant group is called. It has very beautiful ones of these on the top. Again, I'm repeating on the top again and again because that will give you a hint. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's right, it's a flowering plant. You can see the flowers on the top. Gives it away. Okay, good job, everybody. Let's try another one. Wow, this one is very, very tall, has a long trunk. Now, we know that the roots for this particular plant go deep, deep down into the soil. It does have leaves, but not normal and conventional leaves. The leaves on this one are like long, thin spines. It's a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's a conifer. That's correct. Well done. Now, conifers, as we have seen in the last video, do come in different shapes and sizes. This particular one is a nice tall conifer. We did know that conifers are also called evergreens. Okay, last one. Let's see if we can do a little bit more classifying together, shall we? Okay, so as we can see here, we've got the stem of the plant. The stem goes to the roots, and the roots go into the soil, and that's how we get the water. So we're going to look at some plants that take their water from roots. Now, these are most plants. We can see here we've got the fern plant, the conifer that grows pines, and also the flowering plant. Well, the plant group that takes water from their roots are flowering plants, ferns, and conifers, or any sort of plant that uses cones and produces seeds from their flowers or from their leaves. Not all plants do this, but it's really important that you can see that some plants take their water from roots. This is the first classification that we're looking at today. The second one, well, some plants actually don't need to take their water from roots. Maybe their habitat is not the best habitat. Maybe it's very dry, like the desert, or maybe they grow on different things like rocks. Well, these plants take their water from their surface, like you can see in our little cartoon here. Plants that take water from their surface need to do this because they don't have great roots, or sometimes they don't have roots at all. The plant groups that take water from their surfaces are mosses and algae, and also some cactus. But some cactus, where they are in the desert, need to develop really, really long roots, so it depends where they are. Now, the reason that they don't have roots in the soil is because they will get their nutrients from the wet, moist, and humid air around it. Okay, I hope that you were listening really, really well because I'm going to test you now. What I would like you to do in a moment is pause this video and draw a couple of pictures for me. I want you to draw the 5 different plant groups that we've been looking at, because we're going to classify each of them. What I'd like you to do now for me on your piece of paper is draw each of the 5 plant groups that you can see in front of you, and again, write down roots or surface. Then I'd like you to try and draw an arrow and match up which plants are classified by their roots that drinks water or their surface that drinks water. Okay, go ahead. Good luck, and we'll look at the answers when you come back. Okay, guys, how did you get on? Let's check to see which plant groups are classified by taking water from their roots and which ones are classified by taking water from their surface. So let's start with the roots first. Okay, so we know that conifers, yes, they take their water from their roots. Most conifers are trees, so the trees need to have big roots to keep them standing upright. Also, yes, the ferns group, they take their water from roots as well. They grow in woodland and they grow very close to the ground. The last one, of course, is the flowering plants. Yes, now all flowers we know have long stems, they have leaves, they have roots that go into the ground. That's what we first looked at when we started this topic, which means that the plants that take water from their surface are mosses. That's right. They grow on things. They don't have their own roots. So it's impossible for them to take the water from roots. They use the moisture in the air around it and obviously rainfall. Now, what it does is it absorbs all of that water into its leaves, and that's how it takes in its nutrients. And of course, we've got the algae. Now, we know that algae lives on water. It doesn't have any roots, and it takes all of its nutrients from the water that it grows on. Okay, were you able to get all of those correct? How did you do? I'm sure that you did a super job, and hopefully I'll be able to have a look at that really, really soon. At this point, I just want to ask you all to make sure that you're keeping all of this work that you do in all of our videos. Pop it into your blue binder, and what we'll do is have a look at that when we all come back to class. And it's really important to keep it because it's going to be really, really useful to help with future learning. Okay, so let's have a quick recap. I'm going to show you some more pictures of plants again now. We've seen these pictures before. I want you to tell me what classification each of these plants belong to. Here are our classifications. We've got plants that take their nutrients and water from roots, and plants that take their nutrients and water from the surface. So which classification do you think this plant would be? I'll start you off with an easy one. Obviously, we can see that this has a beautiful flower. So of course, we know that flowers take their nutrients from the roots. Let's look at another one. Again, we've got the two classifications, roots and surface. So which classification would this plant be from? Now, we looked at this last Friday together, and I did say that it looks a little bit like mountains, but it's not. It's something that's all over the rocks that's been washed up from the sea. Now, what plant do we know that lives in or on the sea? Of course, this is seaweed, which is the biggest type of algae. And we know that algae will take its nutrients and water from the surface. Okay, so that's 1-1 so far. Right, here we have them again, the two classifications. So which classification is this plant? Oh, it's growing on a tree, which means that it's not growing with its own roots. Okay, it's obviously in a woodland area, very dense, and it's very moist there. And we know that this must be, that's right, it's moss, which takes its moisture and water from the surface. Did you get that one? I'm sure you did. Okay, next one. What classification would this one be from? Now, earlier on, we looked at a different example of this type of tree, but here's the one that I showed you last week, so we can see both examples. Obviously, we can see that it's deeply rooted into the ground. There's a hint for you. So we know that it must be a conifer plant, which does, yes, take its moisture and water and all of its nutrients from its roots. Okay, last one then. Which classification would this one be from? We saw this picture earlier on in the video. It's got one big leaf with lots of smaller parts to it. We know that it grows in a woodland area and quite close to the woodland floor. It has spores. It doesn't produce its own seeds like normal. It has spores under its leaves that get dispersed. It's obviously a fern plant, that's right. And those guys take all of their nutrients and their water from its roots. How did you get on with all of those? Were you able to figure all of them out? Could you keep up with me? If not, that's no problem. Don't worry, you can go back and you can review this video one more time. It's kind of important because you will be doing some of the grouping and classifications for your homework today. You don't need to classify exactly whether they take their water from roots or from the surface in your homework for today, but you will need to group each of those. So remember, the 5 different groups are very important. Flowering plants, conifers, ferns, mosses, and algae. Just like we've been practicing today and like we did last Friday, there will be some pictures, and all you need to do is use those 5 keywords to label each of the pictures. Hey, well done, everybody. So here's our quiz. Well, here are the answers to our quiz. As you can see on the right-hand side, we've got our 5 different groups of plants. At the top, we've got the mosses. Coming down one, we've got ferns. Then the third one is algae. The fourth one, we've got the conifers. And finally, flowering plants. Okay, take your answer sheet, please. Question 1. What is a feature of flowering plants? What was the answer? Of course, B, flowers. So, excuse me. Question 2. Where does algae grow? Of course, it grows on the water. Answer C. And lastly, which group has cones? Ooh, there's only one type that has cones, and that's how their seeds are dispersed. That's right, A, it was conifers. How did you get on with those? Were you able to get them all correct? Again, like I said before, pop this work into your blue binders under science, and we can check all of it together and use it for our future learning. So one more time, let me explain the homework. You will be given some homework today. You'll be given some pictures of different types of plants. They will be pictures of things that we've already looked at together. You'll need to use the 5 keywords of mosses, ferns, algae, conifers, and flowering to label each plant. Look forward to seeing it. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for listening and watching today. I hope this video has been really useful. If you need to go back and check some of it, please do. That would be really great. And use it to help you alongside last Friday's video to help you finish your homework for today. Good luck, everybody. Thank you again for working so hard and keeping up with everything. I love it. I think you're doing an amazing job, and I can't wait to see you guys really soon. Take care, everybody, and stay safe. Bye for now.